we just wanted to make a fun track because we were in a season of life where a lot of people were coming against us, trying to judge us for like being Christian hip hop artists, but also being worldly and being this and that.
Ooh.
And we was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I just want to remind people, stop taking the things in this world too serious, because like God has already overcome the world. He's already given us a way out, and he's already given us freedom in Jesus. If we believe in who he is, we have freedom. And so like, I'm not going to be bound by your comments. I'm not going to be bound by your hate, but even more so, you shouldn't be bound by your comments, and you shouldn't be bound by your hate. Stop taking these things
Mm.
too serious, and instead like learn to live in freedom and enjoy.
I heard it on the radio. Tell me up beside the stereo. Wanna feel it all around. I love to hear the sound of blessings, peace, Lord.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Q's Radio. I appreciate you guys for joining me today. And if this is your first time joining, looking on YouTube, listening to the podcast, I appreciate you. You're welcome in here. And if you don't know, Q's Radio is about dope music, great conversation, and elevation. And if you've seen it before, you know that I stopped right there on that word elevation. Why? Well, if you've seen it, you're going to know I'm going to say this, because we want to go higher. That's why. Elevation. We want to go to a different place in life. And I've used this analogy before, and I'll use it again. You think about when we are going somewhere. Think about these high-rise buildings, in the different cities across the world. Usually when you're going to the top floor, it's usually such a prestigious place to be, because that's the place where the views are. That's where you can see almost any and everything. And think about what we want to do. We want to go higher, not just because we want to see the views, but because we know we're getting closer and closer in our relationship with God. And that's the truth of the matter of what we really want to do. That's what I mean by elevate, renewing our mind, not conforming to what we see in this world, but being transformed, right? So you can say this: you will not conform, you'll be transformed. That's what we want to do. And so the beautiful thing about elevation is a lot of the content creators that I bring onto this show, that's what they're doing with their content, man. The music that they put out, the other creative avenues that they go through, and how they're bringing this to us. And my guest today is doing just that, coming to us all the way from Evansville, Indiana, man. A cold place. I'm pretty sure it's cold right now this time of year. It's probably a little bit brick, probably freezing, but he's inside, so he's good. But I'm talking about none other than Yung Kriss. Welcome to Q's Radio, man.
What's going on? Yeah, you ain't lying, bro. It's definitely cold where we're at, bro. It's like we actually have a winter storm coming in here in the next couple of days. So, we getting prepped up with all the firewood and all that stuff.
So what are the temperatures going to be looking like?
Oh, it's going to be dropping. It's going to be like 16 degrees, 14.
Ooh.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy right now. That's why I'm inside right now.
Yeah, inside. Believe it or not, Orlando is actually getting in on that too. That winter storm is pushing even. Matter of fact, starting on Friday through next Tuesday, Orlando, we're going to have lows in the 30s.
Wow,
30. And I even saw on my phone today, for next Tuesday, there is a possibility of a few snow flurries.
That's in Orlando. It's
in Orlando.
I'll tell you what. How far is Orlando from Tampa?
Orlando is in about an hour, 15, hour 20 south.
Okay.
Northeast of Tampa.
So Tampa's a little bit more south.
Yeah, Tampa's a little bit more south.
I got a friend that lives in Tampa, and I'm hoping that he gets some snow, because he be FaceTiming me all the time, pointing it up to the palm trees. All the warm weather he gets, making fun of me because
we can rub it in sometimes. Yeah, we love to rub it in. I have friends that live in East Lansing, Michigan, and during the dead of winter,
it's cold.
Orlando, it could be 72 for the high for the day, and for them, they got snow all over the ground.
Yeah,
I'm like, y'all can always move, right? You know that. You can do that, right? But no. That's cool though. But man, happy to have you on.
Absolutely.
It's been in the makings, and so that's a cool thing. We finally got our schedules to line up, and here you are, man. And so I'm gonna first ask you this question, just starting off with it. Yung Kriss. How'd you come up with the name Yung Kriss?
Yung Kriss, man. So back when I started doing music, and this is a little bit about my testimony. I started making music when I was like 15, really 14, but didn't start like recording myself until I was like 16, 17. And I always kind of liked my real name is Logan, right? My first name is Logan. My middle name is actually Christopher. And I've always hated my name. I don't know why. I've always like never liked my first name, right? And so whenever I came up with a rap name, I was like, man, I'll just call myself Young Kriss. And then whenever I gave my life to the Lord, I stopped doing music altogether. And then the Lord brought me back to music, and He's like, "No, I'm showing you
Mm-hmm.
why you're actually gifted like this. Like it's not by
Yes,
coincidence
yes,
that this just
yes.
happened, but like this is something I put in you, and there's a reason why I made you Young Chris." So I stuck with Young Chris, man, and people seem to, they seem to rock with it. So
Yeah, man.
eventually, I'm gonna have to switch it though. I'm gonna have to switch it to Chris, and then old Chris, and then
Oh,
Grandpa.
I mean, but never know. You may just switch it to Logan Chris.
Hey, you never know,
You
man. I
never
might,
know what you're gonna do.
might
But
just have to go
yeah,
by Mr. Chris.
yeah, young Chris, I like that though. I mean, it kind of fits around the time that you did it. You said you were like 15.
Yeah,
And it makes sense.
yeah,
Especially depending on what you were consuming, depending on the type of music that you listen to, and all of that. Wanting to be a part of the in crowd, wanted to stand out, things of that nature. Because I know we all want to be able to stand out at some point in time. Want to be able to do those things. But I do want to touch on this, and I think we're going to get to that probably a little bit later on, because you talked about you used to do music, you gave your life to Christ, you chilled out on it,
yeah.
and then you picked it up again because God showed you that. But we're going to talk about that. But yeah, with that, you started that music. What were some of your influences, like when you were
Man.
doing it?
Some of my biggest influences, believe it or not, um, this is gonna sound crazy. Uh, just general Aerosmith. Uh,
Okay, yeah,
my so and that's just one of them. It wasn't just Aerosmith,
yeah,
but like
yeah, for sure.
it was like people like the band Aerosmith. My mom used to listen to like classic rock all the time. And I'm biracial, so my mom's white, my
Hmm.
dad's black, and so we grew up listening to like Aerosmith, but then I grew up listening to Boys to Men, Michael Jackson,
Love it, love it.
listen to like that classic like pop and classic R&B. And then, I got the classic rock. And then, my dad, believe it or not, loved country. So I used to listen to country music and
Hmm.
really
Hmm.
I mean, I love all types of, when I say I love all genres, I'm inspired by all different genres of music. But I would say what probably influenced me the most as far as like my singing style, and I guess how I songwrite, Michael Jackson for sure. Like
Hmm.
the way that he sings runs and the way that he kind of structures his vocals. And then Chris Brown. Chris Brown was like, that's my generation. Like he's like,
Okay, okay.
you can make the argument that he's one of the greatest R&B of our time, uh,
Hmm.
artists of all time. So uh, that was were like my influences. Um,
Yeah.
when I became a Christian, I became a believer,
Hmm.
and I started to do. I've always rapped. I believe it or not, I didn't always like sing. I really kind of rapped. One of my biggest influences in the Christian space was KB, um, and
Yeah, yeah,
which I'm sure you're probably familiar with KB. KB is actually
yeah.
out of Tampa, but he man something about the way that he presented the gospel, but also had such an original flow that like wasn't taken from anybody else. It was like his originality. That's probably one of my, and to this day, is one of my biggest, I would say, inspirations whenever I create. It's like, oh, I don't have to try to be like other people. I can be myself.
Yeah, yeah, be
You know
yourself.
what
Yeah, that's
I mean?
dope, man.
Also, the way he
Love that.
presents the gospel is crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, love that. And I mean, I like the fact that, with you mentioned two people. You mentioned Michael Jackson,
Yeah,
icon. You mentioned Chris Brown, and I would say icon,
yeah.
for, you know, the generation like you mentioned. They sing. They also do something else though. They
It's
also
like,
dance.
yeah, they
They
dance.
also dance. And so
They,
my question to you, you took the vocals, but did you also take from the dance moves?
yeah, man. So, and that's actually something that I've not really showcased a lot. That I've been really thinking about starting to showcase in my new stuff. And I got to showcase it a little bit in this new record that I got called Too Serious. And more so, I got to highlight a group of students here in our city,
Love
uh,
it. Love it. Love it.
and they got to do choreography in our music video. But like, I grew up watching Michael Jackson. I remember I had his 20th anniversary DVD,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so on the DVD, it had the actual anniversary concert, but then it also had all of his like biggest music videos. And I remember, man, me and my brothers and my dad, we put the DVD in, bro, and we would just start. I mean, we would dance all day. You know what I mean? And then you got someone
That's
like
what's
Chris
up.
Brown who comes
Yeah.
along, and you got the movie Stomp the Yard. You know what I mean? You got the movie like You Got Served. And it's like watching those dance movies, man. I used to love dancing. And I kind of got away from it a little bit, but it's something that I've been thinking about getting back into just because I love it so much. Like all of the things that have to do with creative arts,
Hmm.
dancing, singing,
Hmm.
rapping, visual arts. I used to paint as a kid. Like all
Wow.
those things I love. I just love being a creative.
Yeah. No, it just embodies who we are. The reason why we are like this, the creators, because we serve the ultimate creator.
Yeah,
The ultimate the creator, and so
facts.
that's the beauty of it all. And so you just mentioned the video Too Serious. Kick it to that for us, man. We're about to listen to a track by Young Kriss and Don Reddy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It
yeah. My
is
homie Tom
called Too
Reddy, man.
Serious, and so right now kick it that to it for us, and we will get that going.
This music video for my single Too Serious with one of my best friends, man, Don Reddy. Shout out to Don Reddy. He is an amazing artist, but even more so, he's an amazing brother. And yeah, man, we were in the studio one time, man, and we were like, we were doing a writing session, just trying to come up with some demos and stuff. And I think we wrote Too Serious in like literally like 5 minutes.
Wow.
And it just came out so uh, natural. Like we just wanted to make a fun track because we were in a season of life where a lot of people were coming against us, trying to judge
Wow.
us for like being Christian hip hop artists, but also
Yeah.
being worldly and being this and that.
Ooh.
And we was
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
I just want to remind people, stop taking the things in this world too serious because like God has already overcome the world. He's already given us a way out and he's already given us freedom in Jesus. If we believe in who he is, we have freedom. And so like, I'm not going to be bound by your comments. I'm not going to be bound by your hate, but even more so, you shouldn't be bound by your comments and you shouldn't be bound by your hate. Stop taking these things
Mm.
too serious and instead like learn to live in freedom and enjoy it. And so we made the record, and then I was like, it needs a music video, right? Every great record needs a music video. So I was like, let me make some calls. My daughter actually goes to this dance studio called
Okay.
Five Dance in Sheer, and so
Yeah.
I call up the owner, and I'm like, yo, Yvette, like. I got this record. It's fire. It's super fun. I think your girls would love it. Could you do some choreography for it? And so they were down. We set up the date. I think we shot it in like 2 or 3 hours. We just had fun. We did a
That's
bunch of
awesome.
different
I
takes,
love it.
had some pizza, chilled out. And then at the end of the night, we got to pray with the girls, minister to them. It was amazing, man.
Love it.
And this music video came out way better than I could have imagined it. I actually directed it. A great friend of mine DP'd for me. And then I edited it myself. And it's just got some real vintage vibes to it. You know what I mean? It's fun. It's full of dancing. It's full of joy. And I think it really embodies the song,
That's what's
and
up.
the energy of the song.
All right, that's what's up. So right now we're about to look at a track by Don Rennie and Young Kriss called Too Serious. Here we go.
Yeah, don't take it too serious. If it don't go our way, ain't no fear in us. 'Cause heaven came up. Walking through the rain, moving through the pain. Break through everything, he still stay the same. Staying steady in my lane. So don't take it too serious. So don't take it too serious. Why they acting like that he ain't hearing us? Yeah. My God is good as he say that he is. They like, amen, preach, boy, say it again, say it again. Same ones, they be switching when it's tough. Treat it like it's luck, like it ain't no power in the blood. Like I can't be grateful that I still be waking up. And even if I didn't, then it's love. 'Cause I be chilling with the Father, I need all that. Think I'm stressing on the demon, boy, that's all cap. I treat the word like a clip, I bet they fall back. My mental on another level, that's a hard hat. Yeah, don't take it too serious. If it don't go our way, ain't no fear in us. 'Cause heaven came up. Walking through the rain, moving through the pain. Break through everything, he still stay the same. Staying steady in my lane. So don't take it too serious. So don't take it too. I be like, please take it to my father on my knees. Know that I can do all things. Weapons form, but they won't stop me, no. Gotta give it all to Jesus, Jesus. He the same through the seasons. That don't really need to reach for reasons. He already reached for me. Don't take it too serious. If it don't go our way, ain't no fear in us. 'Cause heaven came up. Walking through the rain, moving through the pain. Break through everything, he still stay the same. Staying steady in my lane. So don't take it too serious. So don't take it too.
Yeah, get in there good so they can see you. You see it.
Yeah, you got me?
You see it.
That's what happens when you take over the game. I mean, what else are they gonna say?
I love it, bro. Even when I watch it now, I'm like, bro, I love this.
And I love that you get the joy from watching that video, man. That is just awesome. I love
Man,
it too, man.
I love it, man. That was one of the best, I would say, times in my life of making music. Out of all the things that I've done in making music, that was one of the funnest, most organic, uh, most freeing experiences I've had. Is like that whole process of making that record, making the music video, chilling with Thrive Dance Company and all those things, man. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah,
And shout
man.
out to Thrive, man. Shout out to Thrive for sure.
Love it, man. Shout out to those young ladies just doing their thing on that,
They
man.
killed
And just being able to incorporate that and, giving them opportunity to kind of be a part of it as well. I think that's a really fun thing to do. And it was probably fun for them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. They
you
poured
know.
they poured their heart and soul into those moves, man. And they served us well, and they killed it. They showed up. They were super professional. I mean, these are teenagers. You know what I mean? They were super professional. They are listening, but they enjoyed themselves, and they got to see what it's like to create art for the Lord. You know what I mean? And that was the biggest win. The biggest takeaway was like, oh, I can use these gifts that I have to serve God, and not only to serve
Man.
God, but to encourage people. And I was like, come on, bro. That's the win right there, bro. That's the win right there.
That's a recurring theme of this podcast. It's a recurring theme because I say this all the time, and people will know that I talk about this all the time. And I kind of touched on. I told you that I launched a young adult ministry here in Orlando called Connect Orlando.
Yeah.
Right. And it was really to connect young adults, these post-collegiate, these people who had finished college, and now they're out in the world working their jobs, doing their whatever.
Right.
A lot of times, there could have been people that have grown up in church and people who have not. Either way, we're all finding and navigating our way through beginning of adulthood.
100%.
And one thing that I find the most intriguing is what I consider to be outlier talents. And what I mean by outlier talents is we know about singing.
Yeah.
We know about people who are able to preach. We know praise dancers,
Yeah.
But are you going to see rapping in church like that? Are you going to see somebody singing R&B? Are you going to see somebody do dance moves that are not considered the traditional praise dancer moves?
Right.
Are
Going
you
outside
going
the
to
box.
see outside? And so what has happened is a lot of people, we're always influenced, and I believe our culture, all of us have been influenced by our culture.
Yeah.
We've all been influenced by it. And one of the things that I know is that for you, I'll take you, for instance, you said you rapped, right? And I would imagine, depending on the content that you were feeding yourself, it would determine exactly what you were going to be rapping about.
100%.
So
Yeah.
yeah. And then God gets your attention and it's like, yo, okay, come follow me. right?
Right.
And a lot of times when that happens to people who have various different talents that's not seen where the representation is modeled in a church setting, they don't they then begin to think, well, did God give me this?
Right.
You know,
That part.
I've done it so much for where it was repurposed and I used it for myself, but now I'm walking with Christ. I don't think I can do this anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a lie, people. That's a lie from the devil.
That's the same lie
That's
that
a lie from the devil.
like, I remember whenever, it was 2013 whenever I gave my life to the Lord, and I remember I was like, "You know what? This music thing has," and I thank God too for, like, the discernment, and I thank God for, the level of, like, spiritual maturity I was experiencing at being a baby Christian. I was able to, 'cause you're a baby Christian, you make a lot of mistakes, right? Like, you think very strongly on things, you know what I mean? You're very, zealous without wisdom, right? And, so I was like, "Man, this music is it's an idol to me, so I gotta give it up." And I was like, "Lord, I'll give this up, and, if you call me back to it, then I'll listen." And I remember, like, the Lord was like, "No, I didn't ask you to give that up." There was wisdom in the fact that, like, it wasn't idol to me, but he's like, "I never asked you to give it up, just entrust me with it." And I
Mhm.
remember my mentor at the time, and he told me, he said, "Look, you've always had dreams of being famous and this and that," and he was like, "If you would just trust the Lord with your gift, in a year, he'll have you where you wanna be with your gift." And, it's almost like he was prophesying over me. And I remember that first year, I stepped away from creating, but I started to serve other artists. I was
Yeah.
like, "Let me serve other artists. Let me record." I was, being a mixing and mastering engineer, and I was, mixing their albums, their EPs for this local, record label, and I was serving. And then in a year's time, I ended up becoming an artist on that label, and it was my time
Wow.
to actually pour into my music. And that was a great learning process for me because it taught me to trust God with my gifts, but to also serve. Even though I'm gifted, I'm still called to serve. And that was a great season for me to learn. But at one time, I was like, "Man, I don't know if I should be doing this music because I feel like it ain't. I can't just go into the church and rap." And the next thing you know, I'm learning. Oh, I actually am gifted for a purpose, and now I'm in churches primarily, and I'm rapping. You know what I mean?
Mhm, mhm,
So, yeah,
mhm.
there's definitely this stigma of, like, if it's not traditional or if it's not, you know, these contemporary worship songs or this or that, like, no, the Lord has made all things clean, right? And that's more so speaking of, like, yeah, he made, at the time they were talking about meats being sacrificed and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I had to say, all things are made clean by God. It's like, yo, there's who really say that God can't redeem R&B music or create R&B? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
things can be used by God for the glory of God, and actually
Man,
use your gifts. You know what I mean? So that
yep.
people can see God and give, glory to him. So for
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and I like what I'm seeing now in just this generation. We are seeing a move where these creatives are using their gifts. They're
yeah,
being more bold about it, but also I think, as one guest said, it's a revolution
yeah,
in a sense of what we're seeing because now, I mean, it's becoming more mainstream. I mean, I was
right.
just talking about someone about Kristen Gray, and Kristen Gray.
It's
I
a great song.
remember just the commercial coming on because I know the song Stop Me,
Stop me.
oh
Oh,
somebody
somebody
stop
stop
me, stop
me.
me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what is they're playing this on the intro to an NBA game?
Yeah, man.
And it's just infiltrating, and that can have people, well, who is this artist? Let me look more into their stuff. Let
Yeah.
me see what they're about. And
And then
and I
they see
like,
the roses, and they see all these projects and these works that he's done, and it leads them, or at the very least, we don't know what happens, but at least we
it's
know
an
that it's
entry point.
it's an entry point, man. And, like,
Man.
to see, Christian artists enter into that mainstream space is amazing to see. I'm all for it. I
Mhm.
love it.
Mhm, mhm. I love it too, and I also love the fact that you do music, and we're gonna listen to some more of it. And right now, we're about to kick into a track that you told me. He said, "This is not one of those bops, but you just really poured out what you were feeling
Yeah.
on this track. And right now we're going to hear a track from Young Kriss. It's called Broken and Numb.
I can feel the pressure as it's rising, and I don't know which way to go. Staring at this mountain in front of my eyes, and I'm scared I gotta make the climb alone. I don't even know how this happened, and frankly I don't wanna move. But I can see that this problem is not gonna stop, so I guess I gotta choose to get up or watch it all go down. Swim against the current till you almost drown. And through this broken smile, I'm lost in control. It's way more than a feeling, and it's something that I'm still in. But this is me, broken and known. Yeah. Standing in the sea, sinking in the deep, watching as my walls fall. Forced to see beneath to the roots, and what I found is I'm holding on to things that's causing me harm, and I've been covering skies up, but somehow I'm seeing God reveal some things in the dark that I don't wanna revisit, but I know now. Nothing's on my mind, nothing's on my mind. Staring at the sky, it's got me dreaming I'm up in the clouds. 20 stories high, never fell so low to the ground. And I wanna make a difference, but I can go the distance. So get up and let your walls fall down. Swim against the current 'cause you're almost out. And through this broken smile, I know he's in control. It's way more than a feeling, and it's something he's revealing. But this is me, broken and known. It's a hard pill to take with a glass full of faith, but I know he's faithful. This is me completely broken and known.
Young Kriss, Broken and Known.
Yeah.
And the influence I can tell that you had. You remember you said your dad, he likes country music.
Yeah, for sure.
That's more of a contemporary, has a kind of like a contemporary country style feel to it. Not to me it does. It has just the little bit of elements, not the full thing. It
Yeah.
just has those elements, and I love that track.
Yeah.
It is vulnerable, swimming against the current, and we're, about to drown. And
Man.
that's what we do. We're
Yeah.
trying to tough it out. We're thinking we can save ourselves. We think we know the way. And all we're doing is just swimming against the current, not just letting, hey, okay, let me just Jesus take over.
Yeah. I think I had a real almost like a desperation moment. Back in 2020, I was going through a lot mentally while also helping so many on the outside, right? Publicly, I'm helping so many people. I was running a youth ministry. I was pouring into these kids that were dealing with a lot of stuff. But secretly on the inside, I was harboring all of these these thoughts of like, I have relationships that are not the same. I have I'm dealing with the seasons of life. Am I a great father? Like, I'm feeling the pressure of being a father to 3 kids and all of these things weighing on me. And on top of like realizing what makes up who I am. I remember in 2020, I read the book Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. And my church read that as a whole. And it opened up some questions like, what makes up who I am? Am I dealing with like some childhood trauma? You know what I mean? That I've still-
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, I do have so much that I've suppressed um, that makes up what I am physically, right?
Hmm.
But also infusing that with like, who am I spiritually, right? Who am I in Christ? That's my identity.
Hmm.
I remember I was struggling with all these thoughts, and I felt like the Lord kind of led me to write this song because He knew I needed it. He knew that I needed to be able to process this. It opens up with saying, um, I can feel the pressure as it's rising. And I don't know where to go. Staring at this mountain in front of my eyes, and I'm scared that I have to climb it alone. Right.
Hmm.
So it
Hmm.
takes you on this journey of like so many of us have this mountain in our life, right? We have these things in our life that cause us anxiety, stress, sadness, whatever it is, these burdens, if you will. And a lot of times, man, we're so scared that we have to face those things by ourselves.
Hmm.
Truth is that Jesus said, "I'll never leave you, I'll never forsake you," but also He can relate to that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and so this song was really um, me processing, but also understanding. It built faith up in me of like, oh, Jesus is with me in the midst of this. Like, God hasn't left me. Um, I just need to realize, like I end the song with saying, and it's a hard pill to take with a glass full of faith, but I know He's faithful.
Hmm. Hmm.
Me completely broken and known. I may be broken and may be dealing with brokenness, but I'm known. I'm known by God. And I know that if I am in Christ, it is no longer I who lives, but it is Jesus who lives in me. And like there's freedom in that. So it's where flesh meets spirit. Um,
Hmm.
Seeing how when those two interact, you see how the Spirit of God brings us to freedom. And so that's what this song was. It was a healing process for me and for other people. There's a lot of people out there that they're not artists. They're not in tune with their poetic side or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they are probably going through the same thing that I've been going through, but they don't know how to say it. They don't know how to process it. And if I can make a song that's going to help them process and help them heal, then I'm called to that. And that's where Broken and Known came from.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. Just to be able to put that out and just to be able to help people, because right now we're living in a day and time. Mental health is being highlighted more and more because we see the importance of it.
Yeah,
The importance of it. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of people on the outside where we thought that they were on top of the world. We thought that things were going well for them, just to know that they died by suicide, and that just shakes people to the core because we're like, how would we have known?
yeah,
How would we have known? And so it's always important, even just kind of talking about that. We have to be very mindful of how we treat people
100%.
at all times. And and that's why I just always pray for God. Just give me the spirit of discernment,
Yeah,
just to know what is it, at this moment that somebody could be feeling where they just need that push, that extra to know that they are known, to know
yeah,
that they are cared for, to know that they don't have to do it alone, to know that they are loved. And you putting out that song, I know is going to give people that push that they need, that ability to realize I'm broken,
mm,
but I'm known. And
yeah,
like someone once said, and I hear this from time to time, broken crayons still color.
yeah.
They still
No doubt. Well,
color.
I got 3 babies who break crowns all the time.
Yeah, and they
They
still
still color.
color, and you can create a masterpiece with those
Yeah,
things. Yeah, so I
absolutely.
mean, that's just the beauty of it. So we got another track we're gonna kick into. One last track from you that we're gonna hear. This track coming to us, man. This is one of the tracks that I personally, myself, first heard from you, and it was Ready for It All. I love it, and I know that you guys are gonna love it. So right now, we're gonna listen to Young Kriss, Ready for It All. Here we go.
Marriage. The perfect depiction of what God intended for a relationship to be like between Himself and His creation. They say that all things are made perfect in His love, and I'm ready for it all.
You're not gonna tap? Okay.
Intentional, the only way I'm living lately. Open hands are anxious, carry more. Deflective hearts are scared of truth, but you ain't just nobody. Or would you remind me, Lord?
I truly cannot wait to start this new journey of our lives together as one.
Baby, you've got the love of a good woman. Storms will come, this we know for sure. But baby, I can stand the rain.
It's just a testament to how much I know you're the man for me. Our song says it all.
If there's one decision that I never had any doubt on, it was to spend the rest of my life with you.
I promise to lead you by being a follower first, and to remember that my identity is found in Jesus. You are the love of my life. I choose you, and I'm eager to spend the rest of my days with you.
Since when you're giving me your all, born again, I let you take control. You know me. When I'm needing patience, waiting, I'll be praying. Oh, I'm ready for it all. I'm ready for it all. Ooh, yeah. Holding on tight, waiting for the day, praying for the night. I can't get it off my mind, I'm ready on sight. I feel like I'm ready for another world. I feel like I'm ready for another life to see. I don't lose hope for what's unseen. I can't, I won't. Chasing, waiting, wanting. No distance keeps me from your patience. Gracious, the ways to love you, Lord. Blessings when you're giving me your all. Born again, I let you take control. When I need patience, waiting, I'll be praying. Oh, I'm ready for it all. I'm ready for it all.
Yeah, man.
Ready for it all, Young Kriss. Take us back to the day you exchanged your vows.
Man, I got married in 2015, and
A year before me.
yeah, man, it was it was a good year, man. It was a good year and it was a tough year. I got married in November of 2015, and I remember, man, being so grateful to see how God can redeem something.
Mm.
A quick testimony of me and my wife. We're high school sweethearts. We dated in high school. We weren't believers. We went through a lot at a very young age. Everything from experiencing death in our family, tragic deaths in our friends,
Mm.
and you know, uh, being unfaithful to each other, being young and just in the world lost. Um, all to come into the Lord separately at the same time, and God bringing us back together. And there's so much more to that story,
Yeah.
but to see how God was able to bring us together, and then the moment that I realized that, oh, the Lord brought us back together because there's a testimony of His goodness here, and I love this woman, but uh, I always remember what God did and how He could redeem and how He could reconcile a relationship. Um, and I remember on my wedding day, man, I couldn't. I felt such a peace, but like as soon as she came down the aisle, I lost it, man. I'm losing it.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
crying,
Yeah.
weeping, and not just because here comes this woman that
Yeah.
married me, but like, God, how could you, man? It's like I cry right now thinking about it. Like, God, how could you care so much
Yeah.
someone who a failure like me, that you want to redeem this and bless it and give it purpose. And um, I've always, in a world where divorce rate is over 50%, you see people falling off like flies. Like,
Mhm,
I've
mhm.
always said that I'll be faithful to my wife for two reasons: one, because I love her, but two, I love the Lord and I fear the Lord, and I want to be faithful to the small things, because they matter to the much bigger picture. Um, and yeah, man, that was a learning experience of how God can reconcile a relationship. The thing I
Yeah.
love about this music video, man, is I was really struggling whenever I wrote the song. I was like, this is such a great metaphorical song, but also like very straightforward. It talks a lot about really the song's about being baptized into Jesus and
Yeah.
being married to Christ, right? And then being ready for him to return, right? I'm ready for this new world. I'm ready to be out of this like this broken world, and I'm ready for the life after, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was like, man, I need a music video. What am I going to do? And it's one of those things where you always think, I need to check all the boxes: music video, TikTok content, reels, all this stuff. And I just felt like the Holy Spirit was like, why don't you just use what you already have? Stop trying to make it complicated. So
Mm.
I told you before we started that I'm a uh, filmmaker. So all of those scenes in the music video I filmed myself.
I
I
was
make
I was gonna ask you that too. I was
yeah
gonna ask you that. I'm like, man, you got a great compilation of different,
yeah
wedding ceremonies that you got an opportunity. So that was a brilliant idea. I mean, just to show that because, like you said, that's what it's a representation of us
yeah
getting married. And just when we go through this, right? Because we learn so much about ourselves being married. We learn so much, and
for
we
sure.
were able to grow so much, because we got married in 2016, September of 2016.
That's awesome.
And I just remember that day as well. Just the joy of that day, and
Yeah.
all of that. And what someone once said, I remember before we got married, we watched this this docu series, a documentary actually, uh, from a videographer, and he's been doing videos for weddings for years, and 112, I think, is the name of it. 112 or somewhere
Okay.
around there, or 121, whatever it is. But he said he wanted to meet back up with these couples
Hmm.
that he did these, some couples he had done videos for 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and
Uh,
just catch up to see how they're doing. Are some of them still together? What's going on? And just to
yeah.
see, the differences and what each couple, had experienced over the time period
Yeah.
since he had taken that video. It was just a very intriguing, video. Some couples weren't together. Some had gone through some very traumatic things together.
I
You
bet
know,
he got a lot of. I bet there's so many stories in that. You know what I mean? Because you got to think
so
how
many.
long. If he's been doing it for that long and so much time has passed, like I've only been married 7 years, and we've been through so much as a couple, and as a family. Like
Hmm.
I can't imagine being able to go back to all of the couples that I've filmed, over the years, and being able to see like their story and how they grow and how they matured, but also what they've been through.
Yeah,
Sounds really cool.
yeah, yeah. So it was a really cool one, and that's just the thing of how this is a way for us to grow, a way for us to grow um, as a person, because God wants to build us up.
Yeah,
And I talk about elevation. I talk about that, Q's radio, dope music, great conversation, elevation. And that's an elevating piece. Is
I
that
love
when
this.
you're in these relationships, how is it that I'm going to help my spouse grow? How are they going to help me, or how are we going to grow together? Um, you know, in Christ, and
Yeah,
not only that, now having children, being able to provide an example, providing that foundation for them as they grow to, hey, this is what you have to look forward to. This is,
right.
those things. So just always ask God for just grace and favor and direction, and all of that.
Yeah,
But with you, what are some things that we can see coming up from you, young Chris? What are some things that you have on tap that you can probably key us into, that
yeah,
that the audience may want to know about?
yeah, man. So, I've been really something I've been really focusing on is being more intentional and like making it more of a priority to create with freedom and to I want to be able to have complete like creative freedom. I want to be able to, if God puts something on my heart, I want to be able to create and make something. And so I got a few things in the works. I'll have a few different projects dropping next year. and some things with in the works with my dude Don Reddy.
Yes, sir.
We got by the time this airs, it may already be out. We got a record called Rolling Stone together,
Okay, okay.
and man, it's a real. I mean, it's a fire joint. I mean, it's dope. It's definitely about, man. It's one of them where you listen to it, you can be like, oh, this mug is fire. The research value is just,
Start making those faces when we
yeah,
really
man.
when we hear something that's like, okay, man, yeah, they brought it on this one.
Yeah, for sure, man. And so we got that coming out. And then I'm also working on a couple R&B joints. So I want to be able to put out an R&B EP. I want to be able to put out another more alternative rap EP. And yeah, just releasing, a few different projects to really build. I feel like we got a lot of momentum right now, and I think it's a really interesting time as a creative, as an indie creative, and being able to create everything from by yourself, in a sense of like not needing to resource things.
Yeah.
And I think something that me and Don Reddy, man, what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a team of people so that we don't have any needs, right? It's almost like the
Love
Church
it.
of Acts, where
Yeah.
they all pulled their money together and they were without need, right? They needed
Yeah. I
person
love
needed
that.
food, they had food. If this person needed clothes, they had clothes because
Mhm.
everybody came together. And so, we have this idea and you probably heard Don Reddy talk about it, of like young greatness, right? And what does it look like to be young and to be great, and great for the Lord? And so, we're working on some things to really make sure that we are set up for the future to be able to create as independent artists, as creatives, but to also free ourselves, so that we aren't, tied to, something that will pull us away from our family, because we care about our families, we care about our wives, our kids, and so yeah, we got a lot of stuff in the works, man. I'm really excited. But one of the things I'm excited about most is Rolling Stone, because that
Okay.
song is just. I'm telling you, man. When you hear it,
Okay. Yeah.
you're like, hey, Chris, we gotta get you back on. We gotta talk about Rolling Stone.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that, man. Definitely for sure get you back on and talk about it. But everybody listen to this. Everything that you heard him say and how to get in contact with the Young Chris is gonna be in the description below. So make sure you look at these links that I have down in the description. You're gonna be able to get in contact. The songs that we had that you heard tonight, you're gonna be able to click on that, go straight to him, subscribe to his channel. Yeah, subscribe to his channel. Go follow him on social media. Good stuff, good content. You don't have to be worried about content that's going to take away from what you're on track to do, right? So that's what I hope you guys do. But Gerst, this is the part of the show, fun part of the show. I like it. It's a very relaxing, kind of easygoing
All
question.
right,
It's two
talk to
part two-part question. Two-part
me. Okay.
question. All right. So I'm gonna have you pick a destination. All right. And it could be a place that you have been before that you really, really enjoyed. You thoroughly enjoyed it, or it could be a place that you have never been before, but you've always wanted to go. You've always wanted to go. So a place that you've been
Cool.
before that you would love to go back to, or a place that you've never been before that you would want to go to.
Okay. So do you want one place or two places?
It's up to you. It depends on how many places you want to go. It's totally up to you.
Okay. A place that I've always wanted to go to. Man, see, I have such an adventurous mind, and
Okay.
like, I love trying new stuff. My wife is very much so like, plan it, do it, plan it, do it, and I'm like, hey, that sounds good right now. Let's go do that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, let's pick up and go. Yeah.
but like, I think a place that I've always wanted to go to. I've always wanted to go to Paris, for sure. I've always wanted to go over to like the Middle East. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know if it's because of movies or
Yeah.
one of my favorite movies. It's probably not most people's favorite. It's called Sahara, with Matthew McConaughey, and
Mhm.
I don't know. It just looks dope. They're over in like the desert, and it just looks dope. Um, but a place that I would love to go and visit,
Okay.
hopefully sometime soon, would be Tampa, Florida. And that's because
Okay.
I got some friends and some family, man. And by family, friends. I look at my family.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
most brothers
Okay.
that live there that I would love to go and see. So if you're watching this,
Hmm.
listening, shout out to y'all in Tampa, man. I love y'all, and I would love to visit soon.
Yeah. Okay. So, man, we got Paris, we got the Sahara, and we got Tampa. Okay. So, all these different locations, which I'm not mad at you. So, the second part of the question is this: it's just a fun part of it. In any of those locations, it doesn't matter. You going on trips, and I know when people go on trips, they like to listen to music. I create playlists when I know that I'm going to
Yeah,
on a trip. So, my question to you: going to these different places, with your wife, and the kids come to some of them. The kids stay back with family on some of them, so you and your wife can have your time together.
yeah.
Either way, my question to you is what and who are we going to hear on Young Chris's playlist?
Ooh, okay. So you gonna hear, man, when I tell you my playlist be dynamic, bro. I mean, like I told you, I grew up listening to everything.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, 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 yeah.
what's crazy is I did my you know how everybody does their Spotify Wrapped, right? They do
Mm-hmm,
their
mm-hmm,
Spotify Wrapped where it
mm-hmm.
shows all the artists that they listen to, and like
I saw that.
my top 5 artists, I think number 1 was Giveon. That's he's an R&B
Ooh, ooh,
dude. I
yes.
mean, he's so soulful, man.
Man, he doesn't get enough attention in my
Yo,
opinion.
he's such a good uh, how do I say this? Like when it comes to like melodies and stuff, there's not a lot like him. There's not a lot
Mm-mm,
of people like him, and
not at
I think
all.
that speaks to like his originality, but also his voice is just unique. You know what I mean? It's not too many people have that deep of a voice, but also
Mhm,
sing higher. You know what I mean? So he was my number 1, but then I got like Luke Combs. I love Luke Combs. I love listening to country music.
mhm.
And there's something so like one of my favorite things to do is if you hang out in our house, like we like to dance in our kitchen. That's one of the things that we do as a family.
Love it,
And
love it.
a lot of times we'll play some country music, and one of my favorite things to do is like start talking all country. You know what I'm saying? And start singing all country. You know what I mean? Like I love
Hey,
that type of stuff. You know what I mean?
do an album, do an EP.
Hey, I might mess around and do a country EP.
Do
Don't
one, man.
don't tempt me, bro. I'll do it. But and then another artist is like Ben Platt. He's a pop artist, but like he's very much like an emotional songwriter, and I think I kind of like that because me as I'm a very emotional. I'm kind of in tap with my emotions. You know what I mean? I'm
Mhm,
that type of person
mhm,
where I'm more on the emotional side. But I've always had a heart for people who are very strong emotionally, but they don't know how to
mm.
they don't know how to manage those emotions, right? And a lot
Yes.
of times you see it in like teenagers and stuff, which is why I love doing youth ministry. And
Yeah.
so I listen to people like Ben Platt because I get to hear people's heart and like how people are dealing with anxiety, how people are dealing with heartbreak, how people are dealing. And he writes and such, and he has a team of writers, but the songs that they make are so well written. And
Mhm,
so
mhm.
yeah, you'll hear some Giveon, you'll hear some Ben Platt, but you want to know who I really listen to? I'll tell you this all the time. Don Reddy's my favorite artist.
That's what's up, his boy. That's
Don,
right, and I agree.
if
Don
you ask me
Reddy.
my favorite artist, bro, Don Reddy. Don Reddy. Who you
That's
listen
what's
to? Who
up.
you listen to, Chris? Don Reddy.
That's what's
Hey, bro,
up.
who's your favorite artist? Don Reddy.
I love it. I love it,
Every
man.
time, bro, because that's my homie, man, and I believe
Mhm.
in supporting. You know what I mean? Your friends and
I
supporting.
agree. I agree, man. And you know my playlist, man. I have a lengthy playlist as well, man. And
Yeah,
one of the people that are on my playlist, right?
I'm on your playlist.
You better believe it. Young Chris is on
Hey,
the playlist.
hey,
Let's
what's going on
go.
there, bro? Yeah,
Let's go. Yeah, Young Chris is on the playlist,
I
man, for
appreciate that,
sure.
bro.
And man, I've enjoyed having you on, man. Just a great
That's,
conversation, man. And I hope you guys who've been listening in, tuning in, and just however you've been consuming this content, I hope you guys have also enjoyed it. Because again, Q's Rate is about dope music, great conversation, and elevation. And with that being said, I always like to give my guests the opportunity just to leave us off with something elevating. What is an elevating thought that you would want to leave us with?
I say this. This is something that we used to say in our youth ministry, man, and it was so simple. But the kids used to get excited whenever they said it. Uh,
Mm,
it's something that one of my best friends who was actually in Tampa, where he kind of came up with it, and it was this: whether you would think that you're the best Christian or worse, whether you've been a believer for years or maybe tonight is your first, um, we want you to know two things that you belong here, and we want you to keep coming back, right? And I love that because it's like, whether you would think that you're, the most wise Christian, or maybe you think that you're like this pitiful person or whatever, whether you've been a believer for a long time or maybe tonight is the first time hearing the gospel, uh, I want you to know that like you belong here. Like this is where God intended for you to be. He is your creator. He's your father. And there's freedom in him. You don't have to live in bondage to sin anymore, but there's freedom in Jesus. And if you would just believe in your heart and trust him, the thing that I've been pulling on this last year is trust. And the word says that if we don't trust in the Father, then we don't have the Father. But if we trust him, something as simple as trusting, right? Um, then we have the Father. And that's a faith thing. And I want you to know that you belong here, but I want you to keep coming back. Don't turn back to the world, but stay here with the Father, and know that he's a good Father that you can trust, and that there's freedom and there's a life, and not just life, but abundant life if you choose to place your trust and your faith in the Lord. I had a burp right there, but
Yeah, you good, man. You good. It's so
yeah, man,
good.
put your faith and put your trust in the Lord, man. And it doesn't matter what you go through in this life. You're gonna face ups and downs. You're gonna face trials and tribulations, but the one thing that's going to remain forever is the love of the Lord. And you can be assured and know that there's peace and there's freedom and contentment in that.
That's what's up. Yeah, that consistency, that trust. Welcome. Come back. It doesn't matter what your situation is. You could
Yeah,
be long in the game, you could be short in the game, however it is, first, new, all of that stuff. You belong. And I think a lot of people need to know that they do belong, that
absolutely.
they are loved, that they are cared for, and that there is definitely room for you.
Yeah,
Room for your gift, room for your talents, because the creator gave it to you in the first place. So definitely use it to benefit and bring glory to God.
yeah,
And man, no, thank you again for hopping on here with me, man. I really appreciate it.
yeah.
And for
It's
everybody
been
else that has
awesome.
been tuning in, Q's Radio, new episode every Monday. Like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, share it. No pressure. Do it if you want to, but I appreciate if you do, because the content that's on here, it is definitely content where I want to introduce you to these different creatives. And if you have anybody that you would like to see on an episode of Q's Radio, be sure to put it down in the comments. I'll, be sure to put it down there. Definitely, we can look forward to probably getting that individual on, or individuals, whoever it is, to be a part of this. And so, what I like to say is that, with that, thank you again, Chris, and to the
Absolutely.
people who are listening. God is blessing. Just be sure that you're ready to step out and receive exactly what it is that God has just for you. And with that, I'm going to say good night.
Everywhere I look, it seems like there's a new distraction. No sitting back, we stepping, time for action. Breaking down the problems, Jesus look at that like fractions. Bumping holy music in your city while we passing. I can't hold these blessings, offering play that passion. Talking about my past life. And the things that I did was the only way to live, yeah. Let the love of that life. You ain't had to do it, but I'm glad that you did. I heard it on the radio. Tell me up beside the stereo.